The air was thick with the smell of burnt garlic, sweat, and fear. It was Friday night and the restaurant was packed. Orders were flying in. Waitresses weaved through tables like hares on a racetrack. In the kitchen, it was a war zone. Pans clattered, ovens roared, and in the eye of the storm stood Greg, our manager. Greg wasn't built for the restaurant business, or any business that involved human interaction for that matter. He was a bull in a china shop, a raging bull with a penchant for cheap cologne and cheaper insults. He barked orders and hurled abuse in equal measure. We were all just trying to survive the night. I was manning the grill station, my brow slick with sweat. The heat was stifling, the pressure was immense, but I was good at my job. Damn good. And that's what kept me going. That and the hope that one day I could escape this culinary inferno. Greg was on a rampage that night. A misplaced order had sent him spiraling. He slammed his clipboard on the counter, making everyone jump. His face was an ugly shade of red. Veins bulged in his neck like overstuffed sausages. He got in the face of a young waiter, a kid barely out of high school. The poor lad shrank back, his eyes wide with terror. Greg's voice was a venomous hiss. He belittled the waiter, his words dripping with disdain. It was hard to watch. The rest of us kept our heads down, pretending not to notice. What else could we do? Greg ruled this kitchen with an iron fist. Crossing him was not an option. Not if you wanted to keep your job. So we endured. We always endured. But that night something felt different. Something had shifted. The following week I was called into Greg's office. He sat behind his desk, a greasy half-eaten burger in front of him. He motioned for me to sit down. I felt a knot of apprehension in my stomach. Was I in trouble? Had I overcooked a steak, underseasoned the soup? To my surprise, Greg offered me a promotion. He wanted me to be his sous chef, his second in command. I was floored. It was a chance to move up, to prove myself. But more importantly, it meant a raise. A significant raise. Money I desperately needed. I accepted the offer, of course. It felt like a lifeline in a sea of uncertainty. Little did I know I was stepping from the frying pan into the fire. Being Greg's right-hand man meant bearing witness to his darkest impulses, to his cruelty, to his utter disregard for anyone but himself. One night, I caught Greg in the storeroom with Sarah, a new waitress. She was young, barely legal, and she looked terrified. Greg had his back to me, but I could hear him. His voice was a low growl. He was propositioning her, offering her drugs, promising her things in exchange for favors. I backed away slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't know what to do. Should I confront him, go to the owner? But what if Sarah got in trouble? What if they both denied it? I felt trapped, torn between my own sense of right and wrong and the fear of losing everything. Later that night I found Sarah in the break room, her eyes red and swollen. She was shaking. I wanted to say something, to offer her comfort, but the words caught in my throat. She looked at me, her gaze filled with a mixture of shame and defiance. And then she spoke. "I'm going to report him."